This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week. This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
The verdict has come in the Take Care of Maya case. The Kowalski family being awarded more than $200 million in that verdict that has come down. Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital having to pay it out. It's going to be a very interesting, I think, next couple of months, weeks, years. I'm curious about appeals. I'm curious about all sorts of things in this case, and also curious about your opinion on this. Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI Special Agent. Obviously, an absolutely heartbreaking case. If you saw the documentary, although, yes, it was fairly one-sided, at the end of the day, we're talking about lives that were destroyed, ruined, and completely taken off of this earth at the end of the day, with Beta Kowalski taking her own life. Jennifer, what do you think about this and the way it all ended? Was justice served here for the Kowalski family?
Well, I think that justice can really never be served when a mother ends up taking her life over, the torment and sadness she was suffering because of the situation that the family was in. Mm-hmm. But this is certainly some measure of justice for them. And then also, I think really it's a bigger measure of really driving home a point by adding on $50 million more than what was even sued for.
Yeah.
To try to drive home the point that Johns Hopkins better get it together, that what they did was egregious in the eyes of this jury. Mm-hmm. And I think this is obviously going to cause major changes in that facility and probably others across the nation.
Yeah, I mean, I was frankly shocked, honestly, that it went that far. I was expecting it actually to be less than what they were asking for. I thought that certainly the Kowalski family had a very strong case and very strong arguments. There were elements, I think, of the Johns Hopkins situation that I think were valid in terms of them looking at this and saying, look, on the surface, this doesn't look very good. It does kind of look like an abuse situation. Beata was a bit, I guess, pushy, to say it nicely, at the beginning. But it's what happened once Maya was in there that I think everything really went to hell, especially when you look at some of the individuals involved with Maya's care and the things that were said to her, which go way overboard. What sort of reform do you see happening out of something like this?
Well, I think that the major, if we just break it down, really what they did wrong was, in essence, they incarcerated this young girl without any sort of adjudication process.
Yeah.
And kept her away from family. And that's what went wrong. And I can't imagine, after this case precedent that's been set, obviously it will go to appeal, that other hospitals that are concerned about Munchausen's or concerned about the treatment, child abuse, anything along those lines, they're going to have to find another process than the process that was used by Johns Hopkins All Children's in terms of keeping somebody there without any process. Without anybody else looking at the situation and just making a decision that's, that was proper to do such a major imprisonment, really.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of oversight was really shocking. And the power, the sheer power that one person can have that we saw in this was, I mean, frankly, just amazing. That can be yielded that way. I think most of us couldn't even conceive that could be how this system works. Let's talk about the suicide aspect of it a little bit, because that is an interesting one too. And they were found guilty of that, of basically contributing to the cause of her death, of Maya's mother's suicide. That's an interesting one to me, because that does kind of set some precedent for other cases going forward. Is this something where they, an entity like this who yes, made horrible decisions, but obviously, Maya's mother made a decision as well, which was obviously not a good one. Can an entity like that be held responsible for someone else's choice to end their own life? I mean, especially if that other individual may be suffering from their own mental health issues themselves.
Well, I think this jury just answered that question, Tony, right?
Yeah.
They were held responsible, and they saw a clear causation And I think that's what it really came down to. This team did a good job of showing really the cause, the decline, and why the life was taken, why she took her life, and that it directly correlated to the actions of Johns Hopkins All Children's. And that's why that money was awarded. And I do agree. I don't think she would have taken her own life, but for everything she was suffering.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine being in her place or what she was going through, being, virtually just kind of pushed up against a wall and having all of your rights taken away from you when the most important thing in your world is the well-being of your child. Obviously, she went to some very great lengths to try and take care of her child, going all the way to Mexico. And some may question those decisions and say this could be extremely dangerous. The hospital certainly did, because there was a very high risk of something going horribly wrong, including death for Maya herself. But obviously, her goal was to try and get her daughter better come hell or high water. It's a very interesting case. It'll be interesting to see what sort of precedent this sets for future cases.
Well, Tony, to me, the irony is all those arguments that you just so well laid out, which was the arguments of the hospital side of this. That's what happened at Johns Hopkins, not what happened in Mexico.
Yes.
Meaning all the detrimental things that you worry about, the health of the child, the health of the family, the health of this unit went to hell due to the decisions they made, not due to decisions previously made in trying to get Maya help with her pain and suffering. So the jury certainly strongly believed the side of the plaintiff. That is clear.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.